Dear Heavenly Father, as we stand here today, we know that Hurricane Dorian is pressing down on the state of South Carolina and the east coast of the United States, and we know that it is currently over the Bahamas now. And we would just ask that you would be with those who are affected by this storm or who may be in the path of its danger, that you would strengthen them and comfort them through your word and through your actions. And Lord, that we would ask those who are in positions of leadership, may you give them the strength and the wisdom to make decisions that are appropriate to help safeguard the citizens of this great state as we work through this time of danger. Lord, we ask for your prayers and you ask for your comfort in this day and this day forward. In your name we humbly pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Jim.
We begin tonight with the millions of Americans bracing for what could be a dangerous and deadly storm. Hurricane Dorian is intensifying as it churns toward the U.S. The storm is expected to strengthen to a Category 4 hurricane before hitting Florida over the holiday weekend. With Dorian on that collision course, many are now preparing for a direct hit, stocking up on food and medicine, and some are even getting out of town. Tonight, there is an expanded state of emergency in Florida and parts of Georgia.
With all the talk of wind speeds and categories, the University of Maryland's Research Wind Tunnel shows us what that really means.
All right, we're at tropical storm force winds. This is too late to be boarding up your windows.
By the time we hit hurricane strength at 74 miles an hour.
And I can't walk against this anymore. Category 1 older mobile homes might be destroyed. We'd see some damage. We'd start to see a lot of power lines down. Even some stronger structures would see some roof damage. 96 miles an hour. We are now at Category 2 strength. These winds are way too strong. I can barely lean into them anymore.
Category 2 can bring damage to older structures, uprooted trees, and significant power outages.
This is a Category 3 now. For you, it seems devastating damage. It's the older homes destroyed, the power and water out for several days, maybe weeks.
So that's as high as they let us go. Add in storm surge and a Cat 4 or 5 can be catastrophic. But what researchers learned from tests here can be life-saving.
People think that they're prepared, but once the winds pick up, once the water rises, they're not as prepared as they think.
Hurricane Dorian slammed into the Caribbean, flooding streets, toppling trees, and capsizing boats. The governor issuing this blunt warning.
The time to act is now. If you haven't acted, act to make preparations. Do not wait until it's too late.
Hurricane Dorian is now a Category 4 storm, packing maximum sustained wind speeds of over 150 miles per hour. Dorian has slowed its approach towards the Bahamas and the U.S. mainland. It's giving it time to grow in size and in strength. A hurricane warning was issued for the northwestern Bahamas earlier, a life-threatening storm surge there could actually cause water levels to rise as much as 15 feet above normal. Residents have begun preparations for the potential damage.
Hurricane Dorian has shifted course, now threatening the Bahamas and the southeastern coast of the U.S. The storm is packing winds up to 225 kilometres per hour after strengthening to a punchy Category 4 system. But the U.S. National Hurricane Center expects Dorian to grow even stronger.
Yesterday at this hour, it was a Category 1. Expecting to go to 2 at 11 p.m. and it did. That means in a 24-hour period, we have now jumped from a Category 1 hurricane to a Category 4. This is amazing. Could it get to a 5? Yes, it can, and most likely will.
The Bahamas, a Category 5 hurricane churning for hours, just really sitting there. Homes wiped away, no power tonight, devastation everywhere you look. And ABC's Marcus Moore was right there with our team.
Tonight in the Bahamas, a life-threatening storm surge sweeping across the island nation.
This is very deep water.
The storm came ashore on the Abaco Islands on Sunday. With Category 5 hurricane force winds gusting above 225 miles per hour, cars and entire homes submerged for more than 24 hours straight.
But I want you to listen to the wind and the howl of the wind as it goes by. We've seen large pieces of debris flying in the other direction. All right, and it looks like we've just lost power.
The storm soon destroying our equipment. Authorities warning residents they're on their own, telling them to use hammers to break through the attic if necessary. As the eye passed over one mother pleading for prayers live on Facebook.
Everyone
please pray for us, please. Please, my baby's only 4 months old. Please pray for us. People trying to make it to the other side where this white house is, but some people, the water just took them.
The roof ripped off of her apartment building, soon sheltering again with other families.
This is the only safe place we could be right now.
On Grand Bahama Island this morning,
Y'all sure we can make this?
John Forbes and his family racing to get to his neighbor's two-story home.
They're getting a lot of distress calls. The person's needing to be rescued, but we cannot get to them right now.
And we are seeing the catastrophic damage in Dorian's wake.
Lenny's house. Used to be Lenny's house. What's left of it? Unreal.
Tonight, reports that as many as 13,000 homes are damaged or destroyed. And a grandmother now grieving over the loss of her grandson.
Did they say how he died?
I think they say he drowned.
The death toll now at least 5 and certain to rise.
Screamed and looked off in the distance and saw 4 people at a house that was surrounded by the storm surge, the water rushing by, and our producer, Scott Schulman, ran towards them and told them to swim. And they got in that water. It was 3 women, 2 teenage girls and a woman and a man. They swam across and made it. And they are thankful to be alive tonight. And it really was a race against time because the eye was moving across the area, and we knew any moment that the intense storm could return.
I want you to remember, homes, houses, structures can be replaced. Lives cannot be replaced.
Abacoa is gone. From the air, it's hard to tell where the sea ends and the land begins. Across the Bahamas, the damage is indescribable. At least 13,000 homes are damaged or destroyed. Buildings flattened, trees ripped bare. Entire sections of land underwater after a 6-meter-high storm surge enveloped the islands. The ocean swallowed the Grand Bahama International Airport, with waves lapping at the building. In many places, officials are only now getting a look at the full scope of the damage. The number of dead and injured all but certain to rise.
It looked terrifying. It sounded terrifying.
Canadian television director Alex Kane lives in the Bahamas and moved out of the storm's path. He's desperately waiting for word on missing friends.
It's heartbreaking, truly, truly heartbreaking. The sheer terror that people went through in those 48 hours is unspeakable.
At the chaotic staging area for rescue and relief operations in Nassau, we met Robert and Phyllis Cornea, who've lived in Abaco for more than 50 years. They've been homeless since Sunday.
All the main buildings gone. They're gone. Everything is gone. Only concrete structures.
How did you get rescued?
The good Lord, that's all I can tell you.
The good Lord.
Take a picture of me, this is all I have left. What you see me is.
That's all you have left.
I've been in this 4 days.
Adrian Farrington lost his son.
I still could see my son getting dragged across the roof, reaching at me.
Farrington told my colleague Nikki Batiste he thought he'd lifted his 5-year-old son to safety on the roof of his house, only to see him washed away in the surging floodwaters.
If he be rescued, I praise the Lord. But for the surge, what I saw when I lose him, anything could happen. He had sharks swimming in the water. Anything could happen.
It came over the roof. I would imagine 21 feet at least. We were doing all right until the water kept coming up and all the appliances were going around the house like a washing machine. That's probably I got hit with something in there. And my poor little wife got hypothermia, and she was standing on top of the kitchen cabinets until they disintegrated. And then I kept with her, and she just drowned on me.
I'm so sorry.
I know.
Dorian already landing a devastating blow in the Bahamas, hammering the islands relentlessly for more than 24 hours. As a Category 5 hurricane there, it was merciless. The images now coming in tonight of the horrific destruction in its wake after the wind, of course, the floodwater surging in. Tens of thousands of homes damaged or destroyed tonight. At least 5 people have died, that toll growing. So tonight, where does this monster hurricane go next? And the models that show it coming very close to the coast, how just a small shift in the hours ahead could be devastating.
Are bracing for Dorian to move in. Its effects are already being felt in Florida.
More than 1 million people across the southeast have been told to evacuate. Gio Benitez is in New Smyrna Beach, and Gio, it's a virtual ghost town there.
It really is, Michael. Good morning to you. Yeah, we aren't even on the beach side. We are more inland. And just take a look. Business after business is closed. They've boarded up. We've only seen just one restaurant open here. People in Florida just aren't taking any chance.
This morning, a rush to get out. More than 2 million people ordered to evacuate.
If you're in a mandatory, you just have to get out.
Hurricane Dorian threatening almost 1,000 miles of coastline from Palm Beach, Florida, all the way up to North Carolina's Outer Banks. Despite the warnings, not all have evacuated just yet. This man venturing out to test the waters in Palm Beach and wiping out from the massive waves. Even before the storm has hit, treacherous waves causing boats to sink off the Florida coast. Those who have left abandoning homes and businesses. Florida officials say the Category 3 storm has forced 7 hospitals and 72 nursing homes to evacuate. Several airports in Florida completely shutting down, more than 1,000 flights canceled. In parts of South Carolina, highways turning into one-way roads as residents flee.
Tonight, Dorian is lashing the coastline of Florida and Georgia. Top winds have increased to 110 miles an hour. Its center will approach South Carolina tonight, then North Carolina tomorrow night, all with hurricane force winds. South Carolina's governor has now ordered the entire coast evacuated. That's about 800,000 people in all. Storm surges could reach 8 feet in some places. Warnings now extend northward to Hampton Roads, Virginia.
We're tracking the widespread damage and power outages in South Carolina. The eye of Dorian passed within 55 miles of the city of Charleston, bringing heavy rain and wind gusts of more than 70 miles an hour. And at least 150,000 homes and businesses in the state are without power.
Jamie, what can you tell us about what you've been seeing and experiencing?
Well, that's Rena, as you just said. I am knee deep in floodwaters here. This is the biggest concern that they had in Charleston was all of this flash flooding. If we go ahead and just walk through, it does get a little bit better as we get up to the intersection here, but this continues all the way down. And there are many streets around Charleston like this, up to 90 streets in total in the Charleston area that look just like this. Also, we've seen many power lines down. We've seen lots of trees down. In this particular area, we're sheltered just a little bit, but I'm told just around the corner, there's a palm tree laying over the street. That's why they've asked so many people to just hunker down, wait for the storm to blow out of here, and don't start checking damage. Don't go start seeing what's happening in this area. We got video a little bit ago.
Hurricane Dorian is now lashing North Carolina's coast right now with high winds and torrential rain. The deadly storm weakened overnight to a Category 1, but weather officials say that it remains a powerful hurricane as it moves along the coast of North Carolina. Dangerous storm surges and life-threatening flash flooding is expected in the region. And at least 250,000 homes and businesses in both North and South Carolina are without power.
You might be able to see a little better now here at this hour. The waves are getting bigger as Hurricane Dorian begins to make its entrance here into the Outer Banks. Those who live here and decided to hunker down and weather this storm are under strict instructions not to leave their homes until at least noon. That hour could get pushed back depending on the severity of this storm. Even though it's weakening, it's still extremely unpredictable at this point. The Bahamas this morning still reeling. That death toll now up to 30 people. Morticians are bringing in at least 200 body bags today as part of the rescue and recovery, and we know thousands of people are still missing.
People on the Abaco Islands in the Bahamas are desperate to get out.
I'm at the airport with my sister, my 2 sons, my daughter, and 2 granddaughters. It's horrible. You can't live here.
Widespread devastation caused by Hurricane Dorian has halted any semblance of normalcy. Many are waiting at the airport, hoping for a seat on a plane.
We still have babies here. We still have elderly people here. They're not living up to their word.
At the same time, relief organizations from around the world are trying to get in.
At this point in time, we're going past chaos at this point. It is no forward to say better. It's getting worse. So we need any help we can get.
Dorian is now thrashing North Carolina. Officials warned coastal residents to evacuate, but some chose to ride this storm out.
Not a stranger to hurricanes.
I'm just going to bunker down and hold in and wait for it to pass.
More than a dozen tornadoes touched down on Thursday as Dorian sat off the coast of the Carolinas.
I'm damn lucky.
This tornado started as a water spout, but came ashore and tore through an RV park in North Carolina.
Me and my wife and the cat took shelter. We went into the bathroom. Power went out. We were there less than a minute.
And in South Carolina, exploding transformers and downed power lines left thousands in the dark.
At this hour, Dorian remains a monster storm. You see it there. Its cloud cover stretching up the coast and past Maine, triggering dangerous winds and blinding rain. Dorian slamming ashore with 90-mile-an-hour winds and a powerful storm surge. Catastrophic flooding tonight on Ocracoke Island, and at this hour, a desperate effort underway to rescue hundreds who are now trapped. The wind and tornadoes from the storm leaving a trail of damage and hundreds of thousands without power as we come on tonight. And it's not over yet. We have the new track into this evening, and yes, again tomorrow. And ABC's Stephanie Ramos is in Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina, where the eye passed through and where the emergency rescues are now underway tonight.
Tonight, Hurricane Dorian making landfall in the Outer Banks.
So pouring in.
Winds gusting over 100 miles per hour and dumping nearly 14 inches of rain.
This is a flash flood emergency for Ocracoke Island.
Ocracoke Island, the hardest hit area. Rain colliding with storm surge. First responders choppering in to help the estimated 800 people who did not evacuate.
We didn't know it was going to be this bad.
The hurricane lashing much of North Carolina's Outer Banks.
The wind has been howling here for hours. You can see the grass on these dunes being pushed sideways. Even the shingles on that house flying off.
We're seeing new images of the destruction from more than 20 reported tornadoes on Thursday. Emerald Isle residents trying to salvage what they can. This as utility crews race to restore power across the region. At one point, more than 375,000 in the dark.
Now here's the track. I just want to give you a quick look at how fast it's going to finally pull away from the U.S. It's going to pull out of North Carolina by this evening. It's all the way already into the Atlantic, skim southeastern New England and Nova Scotia by tomorrow night. So it is really going to move out of here pretty quickly.
Dorian isn't over yet, hitting parts of Canada today as a Category 2. Downing trees and flooding streets in Nova Scotia, even toppling this crane in Halifax. All day, the storm crawled up the east coast with rough surf, closing beaches along the northeast coastline.
If you're not a very good swimmer, I would stay out the water today.
By mid-afternoon, high tide saw strong storm surges pounding the Halifax harbor and rocking ships at the dock. The damage is building up even before the hurricane makes landfall.
And in the Carolinas, the wind and rain have come and gone. But Dorian's floodwaters in coastal North Carolina remain, swallowing Ocracoke Island.
We'll be ready and willing to help out anybody down there.
The Coast Guard Saturday bringing supplies and aid there after it was slammed Friday with 90-mile-an-hour winds and massive storm surge. Friday morning, Dorian's fourth devastating landfall in Cape Hatteras, an area still evacuated and impassable. North Carolina's governor touring sites of destruction today, including an Emerald Isle RV park, reeling from tornadoes there too.
There was significant damage to many homes there. It was amazing that no one was hurt or killed.
This morning, up to 10,000 people in Abaco alone are in need of food, water, and shelter. Bahamian emergency management officials calling food distribution a challenge and deeming the water in some areas unsafe for consumption and hygiene. The desperate search intensifying, hundreds, if not thousands, missing, buried in rubble. The death toll still sitting at 43, but it's expected to increase drastically. Our team returned to Marsh Harbor by air, where aid groups continue evacuating storm survivors. The recovery on the Abaco Islands progressing with each new day. You look around here, you're just reminded of how far they have to go to rebuild all of this, and it's like, where do you begin?
Quickly. So now that Dorian is going to finally be exiting, people are asking, what else is going on out there? And we are just days away from September 10th. It's the peak of hurricane season, and there is a lot of activity happening right now. My biggest concern is this wave off the coast of Africa. It does have a high chance of developing into something, possibly a depression, early next week. So we'll continue to track as we are getting right into the heart of hurricane season, Kimberly.
And that we will remain safe in this place until we can be rescued, oh God. Father, we look to you, Father, for our help coming from you and from you alone, Father. For there's no one else for us but you at this moment, Father, because we believe, oh God, that you are still in the saving business, Father. You said that we will not perish, oh God. And so, Father, you hold us with your right hand of righteousness now, Lord. Come, Holy Father, and rescue us in the name of Jesus. Let your will be done and our will be done away with, Lord. We ask, oh God, for your anointing, Father. We ask for your covering right now as Noah went into the ark with the animals and his family and shut the door. They were safe, Father.
Calm down, Lord.
We ask, oh God, for your mercy, for your Holy Spirit.